2 weeks ago, I found documents hidden in my son's glove compartment. Real estate papers, a mortgage application, property photos of a house I'd never seen before. If you think what I discovered in those documents was shocking, wait until you hear what I said at Christmas dinner in front of his entire family. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name's Robert. I'm 67 years old, and until 6 months ago, I lived in the same house in Oakville, Ontario, for 35 years. The house where my wife Margaret and I raised our son Michael. The house where she took her last breath 3 years ago after the cancer finally won. The house that held every memory I had left of the life we built together. Michael's my only child, 38 years old, works in finance, married to Jennifer for 12 years. They have 2 kids, Emma, 9, and Lucas, 6. Good kids. Or at least, I thought they were being raised well. After Margaret died, the house felt too big, too quiet. Every room echoed with her absence. Michael knew I was struggling. He'd call every Sunday, sometimes drop by with the grandkids. I appreciated it. A widower living alone at my age, the loneliness can be crushing. Last April, Michael came over on a Tuesday evening. Unusual. He typically only visited on weekends. "Dad, Jennifer and I have been talking," he said, settling onto the couch in my living room. "We're worried about you here. This house is a lot to maintain. The property taxes alone must be killing you on your pension." He wasn't wrong. The property taxes in Oakville had tripled since we'd bought the place. My CPP and OAS covered the basics, but I was dipping into savings more than I wanted to admit. "We have a proposal," Michael continued. "What if you sold this place? The market's incredible right now. This house is probably worth 1.4, maybe 1.5 million. You'd walk away with over $1 million after paying off the mortgage remainder in fees." I felt my chest tighten. "Sell the house? Michael, your mother and I." "I know, Dad. I know." He put his hand on my shoulder. "But Mom's not here anymore, and that money could give you real security. In fact, Jennifer and I have an investment opportunity. Her brother works in commercial real estate development. There's a multi-unit development project in Burlington. Guaranteed 12% return. We're putting in $200,000 ourselves. 12%. I'd been getting maybe 3% in my GICs. Guaranteed income certificates felt safe, but the returns barely kept pace with inflation. "What would I do?" I asked. "Where would I live?" Michael smiled. "That's the best part. You'd move in with us. We've got that finished basement suite with the separate entrance. You'd have your privacy, but you'd be with family. The grandkids would love having you around full time." I should have seen it then. The way his smile didn't quite reach his eyes. The way he'd rehearsed this conversation. But I was lonely, and the idea of being near my grandchildren every day felt like a lifeline. "Let me think about it," I said. "Of course. Take your time. But Dad, the investment opportunity, they need commitments by the end of the month. And the spring real estate market doesn't last forever." Over the next 3 weeks, Michael called every other day. Jennifer would text me links to articles about seniors living with family, about the benefits of multi-generational households. Emma drew me a picture of Grandpa's new room with hearts and flowers. How could I say no to that? I listed the house in May. It sold in 4 days. 3 offers, all over asking. Final price, $1,475,000. After paying off the remaining mortgage and fees, I netted $1,320,000. Michael handled everything. He knew a real estate lawyer. He set up the closing. He arranged the movers. All I had to do was sign papers and watch as my life was packed into boxes. The money transferred to my account on a Friday. By Monday, Michael had me sign documents, transferring $900,000 into what he called an investment holding account. It would be managed by Jennifer's brother's firm. Quarterly returns deposited directly to my checking account. Simple, safe, family. I kept the remaining $420,000 in a high-interest savings account. Emergency fund, Michael called it. I moved into their basement in June. They lived in Mississauga, about 20 minutes from my old neighborhood. The basement suite was nice enough. Bedroom, small bathroom, a sitting area. Michael had insisted they'd renovate it more once the first investment returns came in. The first month was fine. I'd come upstairs for dinner most nights, play with the grandkids. Jennifer was pleasant, if a bit distant. Michael worked long hours but seemed happy to have me there. By July, things shifted. "Dad, could you maybe eat dinner down in your suite tonight?" Jennifer asked one afternoon. "We're having friends over and it's a small gathering. You understand?" I did, sort of. I took my plate downstairs. It became a pattern. Eat in your suite. Watch TV in your suite. The kids have homework, don't distract them. We're busy this weekend, maybe next time. August brought the first quarterly investment statement. I opened it eagerly, calculating my 12% return. 900,000 at 12% annually would be 108,000 per year. Divided by 4 quarters, $27,000. The statement showed a deposit of $18,200. I stared at it for 10 minutes. I checked the math repeatedly on my calculator. Something was wrong. I climbed the stairs to find Michael. "Oh, that's the net return," Michael explained without looking up from his laptop. "There are management fees, administrative costs, fund maintenance charges. The 12% is the gross return. Standard industry practice, Dad. Don't worry, you're still making way more than you would in GICs. $18,200 quarterly. That was, I did the math, about 8% annually after fees. Not the 12% promised. But Michael was right, better than GICs. "Okay," I said. "I just wanted to understand." "Of course. Transparency is important in family business." He smiled that smile that didn't reach his eyes. September marked the beginning of the real isolation. Jennifer started leaving lists of chores on my door. Vacuum the basement, clean the garage, rake the leaves, odd jobs around the house. When I'd finish, there'd be another list. "You're living here rent-free," Jennifer said when I mentioned it. "The least you can do is help out around the house. We took you in, after all." Took me in, like I was some charity case. Not like I'd put $900,000 into their family investment scheme. October was worse. Michael announced they were tightening the household budget and I'd need to buy my own groceries. Keep them separate in the basement fridge they'd bought at Canadian Tire. I was paying about $400 a month for food, eating alone in my basement suite while they had family dinners upstairs. The grandkids stopped coming down to visit. "Too busy with activities," Jennifer said. Emma had gymnastics. Lucas had hockey. They needed to focus on their schedules. I'd become invisible in my own son's house, a ghost haunting the basement. November brought the second quarterly statement. $17,900. A decrease. When I asked Michael, he said market fluctuations. Temporary. Nothing to worry about. I was worried. December arrived with the first real snow. I was in the garage one afternoon, looking for a snow shovel to clear the driveway, another item on Jennifer's list, when I noticed Michael's car, a BMW 5 Series, new this year. He'd said it was leased through his company. The driver's door was unlocked. I wasn't snooping. I was just looking for the snow brush I'd seen him use. I opened the glove compartment. That's when I found the folder. Real estate documents, offers, counteroffers, a mortgage pre-approval letter, all dated from June and July. Property photos of a large house in Oakville. Not just any house, a custom-built, 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house with a finished basement, 3-car garage, and pool. Purchase price, $1,100,000. The buyers listed on the purchase agreement: Michael Robert Patterson and Jennifer Ann Patterson. My hands shook as I flipped through the pages. Down payment, $300,000. Closing date, August 15th. 3 months after they'd taken my investment money. 2 weeks after I'd received that first reduced quarterly statement, there was more. A mortgage approval for $800,000. Monthly payment, $4,300. Well within their means with Michael's salary and Jennifer's part-time income from her boutique. But it was the final document that made my vision blur. An email printout from Jennifer's brother's investment firm. The email was to Michael. Subject line, final distribution. The body of the email was brief, Per our agreement, your initial investment of $200K has been returned in full, plus the $850K from your father's account. After our standard 15% facilitation fee, your net proceeds are $892,500. The remaining funds will cover the first 2 years of quarterly returns to maintain the arrangement. Pleasure doing business with family. Craig. I read it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. There was no investment. There never had been. They'd taken my $900,000, paid Jennifer's brother Craig $137,500 facilitation fee for this scam, and used my money to buy themselves a house. The quarterly returns I was receiving were just my own money being slowly fed back to me to maintain the illusion. At the current rate of $17,000 to $18,000 per quarter, they could keep the charade going for about 3 more years before I'd get suspicious about the total returns. By then, they'd probably have some excuse about market crashes or investment failures. I stood in that garage for 40 minutes, snowbrush forgotten, documents shaking in my hands. My son, my only child. The boy Margaret and I had sacrificed everything to raise. Who we'd put through university. Who we'd helped with his first house down payment. Who we'd babysat his kids every weekend for years. He'd stolen from me. No, worse than stolen. He'd manipulated me, exploited my grief, my loneliness, my trust. He'd seen his widowed father as a mark, a resource to extract. And Jennifer, sweet Jennifer, who'd sent me those articles about family togetherness, who'd had Emma draw that picture, who'd hugged me at Margaret's funeral and promised we were family forever. They'd planned this, coordinated it, used my grandchildren as props in their con. I photographed every document with my phone, every page, every email, the mortgage papers, the property listing, all of it. Then I carefully replaced everything exactly as I'd found it and closed the glove compartment. I walked back into their house because it was their house, not mine, despite my $900,000 funding it, and went down to my basement suite. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't confront them. I got cold, calculating. Margaret used to say I had a temper like winter slow to arrive, but once it set in, it lasted. I sat at my small desk and opened my laptop. First, I searched for real estate records. Ontario has a land registry system. Within an hour, I'd confirmed it. The house in Oakville, at 847 Thornhill Drive, had been purchased on August 15th by Michael and Jennifer Patterson for $1,100,000. Public record. Next, I called my bank, spoke to my account manager, Karen. I'd known her for 15 years. Karen, I need to understand something about a transaction from June. A transfer of $900,000 to an investment account. She pulled it up. Yes, Mr. Patterson. Transferred to Horizon Capital Management on June 24th. Is there a problem? Can you tell me anything about Horizon Capital Management? I heard typing. It's interesting. It's registered as a sole proprietorship under the name Craig Thompson. Address is listed as a residential property in Hamilton. Mr. Patterson, this doesn't appear to be a licensed investment firm. Did you want me to? Not yet. Thank you, Karen. I'll be in touch. Craig Thompson, Jennifer's brother, running a fake investment company out of his house, committing fraud, and my son was his accomplice. I spent the next 3 days researching. Ontario Securities Commission regulations, fraud statutes, elder financial abuse laws. I learned that financial exploitation of seniors is a criminal offense in Canada. I learned about civil remedies, constructive trust, unjust enrichment. I also called a lawyer. Not the one Michael had recommended for the house sale, obviously. I found Gerald Brixton through the Law Society of Ontario directory, specialized in estate litigation and elder law. Initial consultation was free. I met him at his office in Burlington on a Tuesday morning when Michael and Jennifer thought I was at a doctor's appointment. Mr. Patterson, Gerald said after I'd explained everything and shown him the photos. This is textbook elder financial abuse, possibly criminal fraud. You have several options. I want my money back. All of it. That's difficult. They've purchased a property. But, he leaned forward, in Ontario. If you can prove that your funds were used to purchase property through fraud or undue influence, you can claim what's called a constructive trust. Essentially, you can argue that you have a beneficial ownership interest in that property equivalent to your contribution. So I could force them to sell the house or refinance to pay you back. We'd file a certificate of pending litigation against the property. They wouldn't be able to sell or refinance without addressing your claim first. Combined with a police report for fraud, the pressure would be substantial. How long would this take? Months, maybe a year. But Mr. Patterson, there's something else you should consider. This is your son. Are you prepared for the consequences? This will destroy your relationship with him, with your grandchildren. I thought about Emma's drawing, about Lucas's hockey games I'd never been invited to, about eating alone in a basement while they lived in a house I'd bought them. They destroyed the relationship, I said. I'm just making them pay for it. Gerald nodded. Then let's begin. I'll need you to sign a retainer agreement. My fees will be substantial, but given the amount in dispute, you'll come out well ahead. And Mr. Patterson, don't tell them anything. Not yet. We need to gather every piece of evidence, file all the paperwork, and have them served all at once. If they know you're onto them, they could hide assets, claim the money was a gift, muddy the waters. I won't say a word. For the next 3 weeks, I was the perfect, compliant basement dweller. I did Jennifer's chores. I bought my own groceries. I stayed quiet and invisible. I accepted the third quarterly statement, $17,600 this time without question. I smiled at Christmas photos with grandchildren who barely knew me anymore. And every day, Gerald was building the case, gathering evidence, preparing affidavits, drafting the statement of claim, filing the certificate of pending litigation with the Land Registry Office. On December 20th, Gerald called. Everything's ready. How do you want to do this? They're having Christmas dinner at their house. December 24th. Big family gathering. Jennifer's parents. Her brother Craig. The whole clan. You want to serve them at Christmas dinner? No. I want to tell them myself. At Christmas dinner. With witnesses. And then your process server can hand them the documents when they try to leave. Gerald was quiet for a moment. Mr. Patterson, that's quite dramatic. They made me watch my money disappear while they played happy family in the house I bought. Drama is the least they deserve. All right, I'll have the process server waiting outside. But Robert, be careful. This could get ugly. It's already ugly, Gerald. I'm just making it visible. Christmas Eve arrived. Jennifer had been cooking for 2 days. Turkey, ham, all the trimmings. She'd told me I was welcome to join the family dinner this year. Generous of her. Jennifer's parents arrived at 4. Her father, Ron. Her mother, Patricia. Craig showed up at 4:30 in a Tesla. Of course, he could afford a Tesla. He'd skimmed $137,500 off my fraud. We gathered around the dining room table. Michael carved the turkey. Jennifer served the side dishes. Emma and Lucas were excited about presents. Normal family Christmas. Except I wasn't eating. Dad, aren't you hungry? Michael asked. I looked at him. My son. Margaret's son. The little boy who'd cried when he'd broken his arm at age 7, who I'd held in the emergency room. The teenager who'd asked my advice about his first girlfriend. The young man who'd asked for my blessing to marry Jennifer. That person was gone. Or maybe he'd never existed. Maybe I'd been blind. I'm hungry for a lot of things, I said. But food isn't one of them. The table went quiet. Robert, Patricia said carefully, are you feeling all right? I'm feeling very clear, actually. For the first time in months, I wanted everyone here tonight because I have an announcement. A Christmas gift, you might say. Jennifer and Michael exchanged glances. Michael's jaw tightened. Dad, maybe we should talk about this privately. No, I think everyone should hear this, especially Craig. I turned to Jennifer's brother. How's the investment business, Craig? Horizon Capital Management. Impressive name for a sole proprietorship operating out of your basement. Craig's face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about, he said. Sure you do. You know about the $900,000 my son and daughter-in-law convinced me to invest back in June. You know about the 15% facilitation fee you charged them. $137,500. That's what you made for helping my son steal from me. Jennifer's mother gasped. Ron's face went red. What is he talking about? Ron demanded, looking at Jennifer. Michael stood up. Dad, you're confused. We invested your money legitimately. 847 Thornhill Drive, I said calmly. Oakville, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, pool. Purchased August 15th for $1,100,000 by Michael and Jennifer Patterson. $300,000 down payment. Tell me, Michael, where did that $300,000 come from? Silence. Complete, absolute silence. You want to claim it was from your savings? I continued. From Jennifer's boutique income? Funny thing about mortgage applications, they require proof of down payment funds, which means there's a paper trail of where that money came from. My $900,000, filtered through Craig's fake investment company, minus his cut. Jennifer's hands were shaking. Emma started crying, not understanding but feeling the tension. Lucas looked confused. There's no investment, is there, Craig? I looked at him. Never was. You took my money, kept your fee, gave them the rest to buy a house, and set up a payment schedule to feed my own money back to me as returns for a few years. After that, you'd probably tell me the investment failed. Market crash, bad luck. These things happen, and I'd be left with maybe $200,000 of my original $900, while you all lived in houses I funded. This is insane, Jennifer said, her voice cracking. Dad, Robert, you agreed to the investment. We didn't force you. You manipulated me. You exploited my grief over Margaret. You used my grandchildren as props. You isolated me in your basement like some unwanted burden while living in the house I bought you. We gave you a place to live, Jennifer shouted. We took you in when you had nowhere else to go. You convinced me to sell my home so you could steal my money. There's a difference. Ron was staring at his daughter. Jennifer Marie Thompson, tell me this isn't true. She said nothing. That was answer enough. Michael found his voice. You can't prove any of this. It's just paranoid accusations from a bitter old man who... I pulled out my phone, set it on the table, started playing a video. It was footage I'd taken 2 days ago, of the documents in Michael's glove compartment. Every page, every email, Craig's communication about the final distribution. All of it. This proves it, I said. And my lawyer has the originals, along with real estate records, mortgage documents, bank transfers, everything. Oh, and I filed a certificate of pending litigation against 847 Thornhill Drive yesterday. You can't sell that house without addressing my claim that my $900,000 gives me beneficial ownership. You also can't refinance. Michael's face went from red to white. You sued us? I protected my interests. Merry Christmas. Robert, please, Patricia said, tears in her eyes. They're your family, your son, your grandchildren. There must be some misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding was mine, Patricia. I thought I was helping family. Turns out I was just a retirement fund to raid. I stood up, looked at Emma and Lucas, who were both crying now. I'm sorry you have to see this, I told them. I love you both, but your parents need to learn that actions have consequences. Maybe someday they'll explain that to you. I walked toward the door. Michael followed me. Dad, wait. We can fix this. We can work something out. Yes, you can sell the house, return my $900,000 plus interest and damages, and pray I don't file criminal charges for fraud and elder financial abuse. Those are felonies in Ontario. You could go to prison. Prison? Dad, I'm your son. I turned to face him. My son died when he decided I was worth more to him as a victim than as a father. I don't know who you are anymore, Michael. I opened the door. Gerald's process server was waiting on the porch, exactly as planned. Michael Patterson and Jennifer Patterson? He asked. That's them, I said. The process server walked past me into the house. I have documents for you. You've been served. I walked to my car. I'd packed all my belongings that morning while they were out shopping. Everything I owned fit in 8 boxes. I'd already rented a 1-bedroom apartment in Burlington. Small, affordable. Mine. I drove away from that house, their house, bought with my stolen money, and I didn't look back. The legal battle took 11 months. Michael and Jennifer fought it at first, claimed the money was a gift, claimed I'd willingly invested, claimed I was mentally incompetent. Gerald destroyed every argument. The documents proved intent to deceive. The fake investment company proved fraud. The pattern of isolation and financial control proved elder abuse. In October, they settled. They refinanced the house, took out a new mortgage, and paid me back $900,000 plus $143,000 in legal fees and damages. Over $1 million total. Craig Thompson was charged with fraud by the Ontario Provincial Police. He pleaded guilty, received a suspended sentence, and 5 years probation. His fake investment company was shut down. Michael and Jennifer now live in that house with a massive mortgage they can barely afford. Michael had to take a second job. Jennifer closed her boutique. They're drowning in debt, and they did it to themselves. I haven't spoken to Michael since Christmas Eve. He sent emails, letters, called, and left voice messages, all saying the same thing. He's sorry. He made a mistake. Can we reconcile? I don't reply. I bought a small condo in Burlington. 2 bedrooms. I turned the second bedroom into a woodworking shop. Margaret always wanted me to take up woodworking. I've made a bookshelf, a coffee table, a chest for keepsakes. I joined a seniors community center, made new friends, play cards every Thursday. There's a widow named Helen who laughs at my jokes. We've had coffee 3 times. I volunteer at a legal aid clinic now, helping other seniors recognize financial abuse. You'd be shocked how common it is. Children, grandchildren, caregivers, people exploit the elderly every day. I tell my story. I show them the warning signs. I help them fight back. Emma sent me a letter last week. She's 10 now. The letter said she misses me, said she doesn't understand why I don't come around anymore, said her mom told her I'm being difficult. I wrote back, told her I love her, told her that when she's older, I'll explain everything, told her that sometimes people we love hurt us, and we have to protect ourselves, even when it's painful. I don't know if Jennifer will let her read it. People ask me if I regret what I did, if I regret destroying the relationship with my son, losing access to my grandchildren, spending Christmas alone. I don't, because I learned something important. You can't betray someone who doesn't trust you, and you can't lose a relationship that was already gone. Michael didn't want a father. He wanted a bank account. And when I stopped being useful, I became a burden. That's not love. That's not family. Real family doesn't steal from you. Real family doesn't isolate you. Real family doesn't see your grief as an opportunity. I spent 35 years building a life with Margaret in that house. 35 years of memories, sacrifices, love. Michael and Jennifer took that from me in 6 months for a down payment on their dream home. But they didn't take my dignity. They didn't take my autonomy. And they sure as hell didn't take my money, not permanently, anyway. I'm 67 years old. I'm a widower. I live alone in a small condo in Burlington. I have $1 million in the bank, a growing collection of woodworking projects, and coffee dates with a woman who makes me smile. I'm not lonely anymore. I'm free. And that's worth more than any house in Oakville.